So there's that classic saying of show, don't tell. Well, how do you show when a character is angry? How about when they're stuck? How about when they're trying to focus and being bombarded?
You call yourself a filmmaker, yeah? What films have you made? That's okay. Let's cut deeper.
How about when you're talking to somebody else and your mind is elsewhere? But I also do educational content, YouTube. I go make some stupid YouTube videos, like stepping stones into cinematography. So, well, in my latest short film, I used a few visual metaphors to help drive my story forward. So if you haven't seen that, go and check that out first somewhere up here and come back to this video for the breakdown. First, you have to have an understanding of your message.
Make your own industry. Recreate movies.
Before I started shooting, I had a general sense of a message I wanted to convey, and I did my best to convert that into a script. And I took sort of real life experiences that I had that I'm sure many of us filmmakers can relate to.
What exactly do you do again?
I didn't want the hurdles of hiring a whole crew and everything like that and having to produce things. So I wanted to just keep things very contained and very minimal and just doing things by myself. So I really kept that in mind when doing the writing process, and I highly recommend doing that as a filmmaker as well. I could have easily just sat in front of my camera like this and sort of expressed my thoughts and feelings like every other YouTube video, but I really wanted to do something different and, you know, have fun and sort of just flex those muscles as a filmmaker. So there's this really helpful book that I've mentioned a few times on this channel. It's called Storyworthy by Matthew Dix. And he has this really helpful technique in here called the elephant. The elephant is the thing that everyone in the room can see. It is large and obvious. It is a clear statement of the need, the want, the problem. It signifies where the story is headed. So in the start of this film, we have our character, or me, stuck in a very confined frame, and we have these overlapping thoughts, which was sort of the elephant in our case. But before knowing what your elephant is, it's actually more important to know what Matthew calls the 5-second moment, which usually takes place toward the end of your film. Every great story ever told is essentially about a 5-second moment in the life of a human being. And the purpose of that story is to bring that moment to the greatest clarity possible. These 5-second moments are the moments in your life when something fundamentally changes forever. You fall in love, you fall out of love, you discover something new about yourself or another person. Your opinion on a subject drastically changes. You sink into despair, you grudgingly resign, you're drowned in regret, you make a life-altering decision, choose a new path, accomplish something great, fail spectacularly. Once you found your 5-second moment, ask yourself what's the opposite of your 5-second moment, and that's usually where you should start your story. So with that in mind, I sort of recalled a moment in my life when I had a 5-second moment when I was talking to my friend Daniel Schiffer, who I grew up with, and he was telling me how much I hold myself back, and to sort of prompt me to start a YouTube channel and not pay attention to what people in traditional film were doing. So with that general idea of an ending, I really tried to just come up with scene ideas and shots that I really wanted to get for this piece, and I would try to formulate it in a way to help push our story forward. The language of the piece really came together in editing. I would shoot a conversation scene, for example, and I felt like it was missing something, like it needed more tension without telling you what was going through my mind. So the way I decided to do this was by layering tons of video and audio. So to start out, we have a very basic scene of me sitting down to write a script, and on its own, there's really nothing special, there's no conflict or tension. But what if we added our inner monologue to show that everything you write is being contradicted by your thoughts?
That's like videos on the internet, that's not filmmaking. No one takes it seriously. That's content creation.
How can we add even further tension? Maybe when I'm sitting down to concentrate, my phone is blowing up with a bunch of calls and text messages, and all these things are intercutting with one another, and sound effects are overlapping each other, and you just have a perfect storm of like tension and conflict there.
No. This is good. What else is he saying to you? Yeah, and what did you say back to him? Okay, so then you sat down together and you're having a conversation with yourself. You're talking to yourself about not waiting on people to make projects happen, and how you don't know whether you're a content creator, filmmaker, or cinematographer, and how all those lines are blurred. And then you got up and you told him to go fuck himself.
Here's another example. You pick up the phone after it's been ringing for that whole sequence, and at first glance it's just a normal conversation, but we want to add tension to it. Pookie tells you that there's guests coming over tonight, and instead of just saying my house is an absolute mess, how about adding like music that adds intensity and intercutting with dirty dishes in the sink and clothes all over the floor and your foot tapping really fast because you're stressed. The music cuts abruptly after that and cuts into a conversation we've all had as filmmakers before. Now to add some further tension to that conversation, I'm gonna use some of the same techniques I used as before.
What have you been working on?
Yeah, just living the dream. Fast forward a scene and I use these insert shots to help move the story forward and change the pacing of things. At the start of our very hectic scene, you could see I crank the burner all the way to high, and when things sort of start to calm down in the edit, the needle of the vinyl player starts to lower onto the record. I shot this project with just the help of a few friends, but it was mostly me doing the scripting, writing, editing, directing, DPing, audio, lighting, all this stuff. And when you're doing a project at this scale, and you're wearing multiple hats, this is what's gonna make you a better filmmaker. You don't need the latest and greatest stuff to just go out and tell a story. It's really about getting creative with what you have access to, locations, actors, whatever it may be, using your friends like I did. But if you made it this far in the video, honestly, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown. If you want to see something similar, then check out this video I have queued right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next.